Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining me again in the greenhouse. It's Sandra coming to you live from Huron Ridge Greenhouses. As you can see, things are starting to really look like spring here in the greenhouse. Our geraniums are looking fantastic, as are a lot of our other flowers really starting to come into bloom. But don't worry, we got lots of time to get to that. What I actually wanted to talk to you today about was potatoes. One more time, we're going to talk about potatoes. I know I feel a bit like a broken record talking about potatoes, but we're going to give it one more go. So, I've had a couple questions about how many potatoes should I buy, and I can certainly tell that we've got some ambitious gardeners that are following us because we've had people order really large quantities of seed potatoes. So I wanted to explain to you a little bit about how seed potatoes work out as far as how many pounds you order or how many potatoes you're going to get. So I did a real simple example. This is 5 pounds of Kennebec seed potatoes. You'll notice in that bag that some of them are bigger. And remember, I talked about cutting them up. I'll review that again in a second. And some of them are little. So we've got some that are pretty tiny. Oh, that one even could still be cut up, but they're different sizes. Regardless, this is 5 pounds of potatoes. No matter what size they are, 5 pounds is 5 pounds. So I did a little bit of math. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? So I took these 5 pounds of potatoes out. I laid them out on the counter. I looked at approximately how many pieces I would cut them into. And what I worked out is this 5 pounds of potatoes, or pretty much any 5 pounds of potatoes, is going to work out to between 40 and 45 potato plants. That's a lot of potato plants. So you need to plant your potatoes about a foot apart. So that starts to translate into, okay, how many rows, how long are my rows? So we're getting to a lot of potatoes with 5 pounds. You're going to get a good bunch out of your garden. The other thing to factor in, I actually called a friend of mine who's a potato farmer. I'm like, okay, so I plant a potato. How many potatoes am I going to get off of my potato? And he said that depending on the variety, it changes a little bit. But actually, she said, it wasn't he. I was talking to Mrs. Potato Farmer, and she told me that if you plant one potato, you will get between half a dozen to 10, probably closer to 10 tubers. So if you plant one potato, you get 8 to 10 potatoes. How big they are is going to depend on your soil. It's going to depend on whether you fertilized or if you've got manure worked in. It's going to depend on water. Are you going to water them? How much rain do we get? So those are things to factor in. But the point is, this many potatoes translates to almost 10 times this many potatoes. So 5 pounds of potatoes, you can probably look at digging up 50 pounds of potatoes. So it's simple math. If you buy a 50-pound bag of seed potatoes, you better have a really good shovel because you're going to be digging up like almost 500 pounds of potatoes, which if you want to do, that is super cool, and we are here to help you with that. No problem. I just want you to know what your yield ratio is so that you can make a choice based even on how much room you have to plant, because not everybody has an acre or 2 acres that they can just till up and plant potatoes. If you've only got a select growing space, just be realistic in what you're buying. So that's potatoes. The other thing I was going to tell you, don't forget, I know I've talked about it before. You can go back and watch my other videos. But remember, this potato can get cut for sure into 2. We just got to make sure that there's eyes on each piece, right? There's lots of eyes on a potato. As long as there's some eyes on your potato, you can cut it into smaller portions. So that one for sure would be 2 potatoes. That's just a little review. If you want more information about that, you can go back and watch one of my previous videos. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, but it was all about how to plant potatoes. So that's just a little review. Second thing I wanted to talk to you about other than potatoes is onions. Because again, I think people don't really know. They're used to just coming in and grabbing a handful, and that's what they plant. So we thought, what do most people plant? That's probably a pretty good amount. This is, I didn't count it specifically, but I know that in this bag, there's probably between 80 and 100 little onions. That's a good bunch of onions. That's half a pound. So we've had a few folks order like 8 pounds of onions. 8 pounds. Like not 8 half pounds. 8 pounds. So you're going to have a lot of onions, which is great. If you love onions, have at her. I just want you to know that half a pound is going to give you like 80 onions. So for most people, that's enough onions. But for those of you who are super keen, you go right ahead. Plant as many as you want. Just want to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. And if you happen to have bought your onions already and you did buy 8 pounds, we really appreciate that. And hopefully you've got some friends you can share with because, yeah, or you really like onions. That's the other side of that story. So again, this weekend, I know people are going to start getting super keen because it's looking like the forecast is double digits. Can't go wrong with that. Super fantastic. We're glad that you're keen. There's lots of seeds that you can be planting this weekend. Your potatoes, your onions, spinach, lettuce, carrots, a few other things like that. What else have I talked about in the past? Again, you can look back at the other videos I've done if you've got specific questions about what to plant. You cannot plant things that are tender. Don't plant your beans yet. Don't plant your tomatoes, your peppers, anything like that. Those need to stay until there's no more frost. Oh, peas are another good one you could plant right now. Peas are excellent. Get those in the ground. Radish, spinach, kale, probably, let me think, beets, carrots maybe a little bit early, but yeah, there's lots of things you can be planting. But there's even more that you need to wait. So just if you're not sure, you can send me a message. I'm happy to answer you. There's tons of information online. You can certainly read up about what different things you should be planting when. And really, that was my big questions of the day. Somebody else did ask me what kind of varieties of potatoes we have. What we have left are red Lesota, which are a bigger seed potato. Just to forewarn you, if you get it, you're going to have to chop it up into a few pieces. Huckleberries, which are our low glycemic potatoes, okay? So they are good if you have sugar issues. If you're diabetic or anything like that, huckleberries are a white flesh. I can't remember if the outside is purple or white, but they are a white flesh, okay? Then there's German butterballs, which are really popular as well. Gold Rush, which are kind of like a yellowy fleshed potato. And then there's also Kennebecs, which are a white potato, really good for storing. So hopefully that answers some of your potato questions. Remember, 5 potatoes is quite a lot of potatoes. You can buy as many as you like, 1 pound, 2 pounds, 50 pounds, but just kind of do the math about what it's going to equal, because 5 pounds of potatoes is going to give you 40 to 45 potato plants. So I guess then you can work it backwards. 1 pound is going to give you, 1 pound of potatoes is going to give you like 8 or 9 potato plants, just to give you a kind of a, did I do my math right? I think I did. If I didn't, correct me. But anyways, just so you know what you're getting. And again, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend. This is our last weekend for quite some time where we're closed on Sunday. So for us, it's a little bit exciting because we get to have a day at least somewhat off. There's still going to be lots of watering to be done in the greenhouse, but starting on May the 1st, we're open 7 days a week. So hopefully we can help you get all your gardens growing. We're continuing with our curbside pickup. Our website's getting updated. Probably with some new items almost every day right now. We're going to have a big, the launch of our annuals will be middle of next week. And then you'll be able to start buying and growing everything you need. So thank you very much for tuning in. Have a great weekend and we'll talk soon. Bye.